Well, what do we have here? A few days out from the ARH8 release party this weekend, which is going to be a blast. We've got the end of the beta period and some changes. Let's talk about those as well as, that's right, the release party in today's episode. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, my Star Wars Destiny friends, and welcome back to Dice Commando and the Commando cast, and happy freaking Destiny Friday. That's right, we've got the release party. Ain't no party like a release party. Ain't no party like a ARH release party, I should say, this weekend. And I think I can actually do it. That's right. Kids are getting old enough they can actually poop on their own and stuff. Hey, we're talking. If you know, you know. But aside from that, we've got some pretty big news this week. This came out either Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it was Tuesday, at least U.S. time. And the beta period is over. They've made some changes. I think if we're being honest with ourselves, some of these made sense. Some of them, I'm not going to say I called it, but like some of them are like, yeah, that it makes sense. Let's just say it makes sense. Right? So what we have here is we have the newest article from this is by Casero, by the way. So in the past it's been Maggio, but we have Casero on this one. So again, reminder, point you're watching this. If you're watching this, let's be honest, you're in the know. I mean, let's just be honest with the community we've got left. I think that's a fair statement. But it's this weekend, okay? So it'll be 9 a.m. Eastern. That is a 6 a.m. start time for us on the Best Coast. But that's part of the reason I think I might be able to get a couple rounds in. I just set the alarm super early. That's what I'm looking forward to. I'm going to be piloting ships and rolling guns and indirect and probably losing to all of you who are better. But I'm looking forward to it. All right, so I'll shut up with that. Let's get into this, okay? So Force Choke is now a 3 instead of a 2. So I'll be honest, this is one of the ones I didn't see coming. I knew that Force Choke was going to be very good. Very, very, very good. So what they explain here is that they effectively think Force Choke would have been a 2.5 cost, but after seeing it in action, they decided to round it up to 3. That's been generally the correct approach, and this one makes sense. Okay, so this is now a 3 cost card. Makes sense. Okay. We'll see how many decks find its way into over the weekend. I'm sure they will look at that data and see where they need to go there, right? They can always back out from something as long as too many resources haven't, no pun intended on the resources, too many human resources haven't been put into changing graphics and all that sort of stuff, okay? Now, next is Awaiting Fate, okay? So this is one we talked about. After the upkeep phase begins, place 1 resource on this card, action, set it aside, and remove up to 3 resources. So the change here is that it happens at the end instead of the beginning, and they say that by placing the resource on at the end of the round, they have delayed the big boom. Okay, so it makes sense there. So Carson, I admit I knew Carson was good. I knew Carson was really good, and I was also super excited about Carson because they had dropped Benthic to 15. We'll talk about that in a minute. I didn't see this. I'll admit I didn't see this one coming, but this one also makes a lot of sense. So what they've done is they've effectively changed him. So prior it was when a vehicle die was removed, or I should say actually a support. Okay, so Carson was designed to boost place damage on support interaction. We're excited to see him do just that. With a lot of reps over the last week, we realized that the breadth and versatility of his passive ability, right? The passive abilities tend to be a thing that cause... I think that's a fair statement, actually. I know I'm going off topic here, but I think if we really look back at the history of characters that have become better than we thought they were going to be, regardless of point value and all that stuff, it's been the static ability, the passive ability, whatever you want to call it, right? The thing that just kind of always is there, like Benthic, right? And then when they have that and the power action and really good dice, right? So, and Carson, good old Carson, all right? So anyway, they've changed him such that he's limited he's more limited. Okay, so fair enough. And then Jawa Reclaim, if you watched my, I think it was last week's episode, I believe. It might have been, it was the recap, it was last week. It was a recap episode. I kind of nominated this as like my first one to likely see, like my first one to likely see something. And we're seeing it. So Jawa Reclaim now means that you can only play as support. Okay. So makes sense. And as much as it makes us all chuckle to see a band of Jawas repurposing Emperor into Chimera, limiting it to support cards, preserves both the design intent, and that's important, the design intent, and the theme, right? In other words, they didn't test it to do something else. It was not intended and or designed to do that, and completely fair. All right. So those are the changes within the set. We will see, as of the time of me shooting this, I haven't seen any updated images. I do expect that to probably happen. That's part of the reason they do the things in the order that they do them now, right? It's almost like they have a plan, go figure. So I'm sure we'll get those all out, okay? Now we do have some Echoes of Destiny changes, okay? So Undermine's been removed. Drop Zone has been removed. I think that one makes a lot of sense with Carson Benthic. I mean, let's just be honest with ourselves. Watch Your Career with Great Interest and Redemption Darth Vader have both been removed. I don't know the history belong that one, okay? So, but what they'd say is Redemption Vader leaves a list along with Watch Your Career. And although we're excited to continue providing, I mean, they don't really go into it. I actually don't know what deck was causing problems with that. We kind of talked about this many moons ago in the, when they announced the reprint list. We kind of talked about that, how build around plots like that I think are actually a good thing, right? Like we have Relentless Advance and stuff like that. I think it's perfectly fine to have those. And this one was kind of that, but I'll be honest, I don't know what the interaction was. If you do know what the interaction is, let us know below. But again, I have no doubt that it was the right thing to do. And then the last one there, I mean, Benthic was so good for so long. They put him at 13-16 and he continued to be relevant. And with, when they dropped him to 15, I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then like maybe 2 weeks later, we saw Carson get dropped and I was like, oh, that looks real good. So, I mean, think about this in context, right? They're bumping Benthic back up and they're nerfing Carson. Right. And I mean, it's just having Benthic at 15. There's too many pairings, too many potential pairings there. And it's his passive, his static, whatever you want to call it, with the battlefield claim. I mean, even without Westar and all that stuff, it makes sense. And I'd also like to point out, by the way, that DAC is 14 points and DAC is still legal. So like you can actually still DAC Benthic. And like that was a deck I played the snot out of back in the day. And you can still play that. You've lost a lot of toys, but you've got a lot of new toys. So, yeah, completely reasonable. Okay, and then the biggest one, which, if I'm being honest, I think it's taken us way too long to get here on this one. And this is why I wanted to finish. I mean, not only is it chronologically, I guess chronologically because they typed it later, but Tusken Camp. So they've already tried to do things against Tusken Camp, right? They changed the card itself. Then they put it on a restricted list. So that's 2. 3 strikes, you're out, I guess, is the ARH policy, right? So Tusken Camp just needed to go away. The card's been a very clear, in my opinion, it's been a very clear problem. It's actually, if I'm being completely honest, Tusken Camp itself is partially responsible for my decline in interest in the game. I'm just being honest, right? What it did and the decks it led to and how it shaped how things happened. It wasn't that card itself and it wasn't the decisions around that card itself, but it was a signpost for me personally at the time that I just didn't like where that was taking builds. Because if you're playing a value build, which Destiny is inherently a value game, right? It's a stats and value game. And if that is where it's going to go, that we can do that. I'm just being honest with you, that helps. By helped or did not help, whichever way you want to look at it, that played a part in my personal disinterest of certain things at the time. And as you all know, when you lose momentum, you lose momentum, right? So I'm actually very happy to see this happening. I think there's some other stuff out there that could probably do the same way and kind of try and return Destiny to its roots. But, the game I think is really cool right now, and what ARH is continuing to do is awesome, and we wouldn't be here without them. So I think that we need to trust them to do what they want to do with the game, because they've done a good job from a long-term arc vision, right? Looking several sets ahead. So it's been a good thing. But to cap this little rant off, I'm very happy that this card's gone, finally. I really hope that... I think that this itself plays a big part in maybe changing some things to be maybe a little faster game, maybe be less ramp heavy. But we'll see. Right? Big Blue's still a thing. Sticks are a thing. And at the end of the day, people just need to be able to have fun. Right? And I think that's the most important part. And I think that this card, because of the inherent value it brought, took a lot away from the characters being centric and other parts. So anyway, we've talked a lot about one small piece of this puzzle that I think will be a net positive change for the future. So fully supportive of that. Benthic, as much as it pains me, because I had a Carson Benthic deck ready to go, as much as it pains me, and I use that with air quotes, totally the right thing to do. I didn't see the Carson thing coming. Probably the right thing to do, not questioning it. Benthic going back 1600% the right thing to do. So no questions there at all. And again, thank you to the ARH folks for continuing to do this. So scrolling back up as we cap this off, again, remember, this weekend, it is actually, so this will go live at 4 a.m. Pacific time Friday. So you have, as of the time of this posting, you have 26 hours to be there with a deck and a bow tie on in front of your computer. In case you don't have pants, need to have pants on because you're in front of your computer. But be there. I'm going to do everything within my power to get up in time and make it happen. And hopefully I'll see you all there, rolling some big chunky dice on the TTS. Anyway, folks, thanks. Have a great time, and go Commando.